It is 12:09. I am Joe Easton, Chair of the Missoula Parking Commission, and I'll call our June 9th, 2026 meeting to order and start with introductions. JR. Kelsey. And is Melissa on?
Yes,
Melissa?
I'm on. Yeah, I'm here, Joe. I don't know if you could hear
Good.
me through there.
Yes, now I can. Thanks for participating. Is there any public comment here or online on any item that is not on our agenda? Anything online, Emily?
No one has raised their hand at this time.
Neglected over the last several meetings to approve our minutes from our February, March, and April meetings. Does anybody have any comments or questions or adjustments to the minutes of those meetings? And we will vote by acclamation to approve them if not. Okay. The minutes are approved by acclamation. Commission, does anyone have any adjustments to the agenda? Melissa, I can't see you, so please speak up if you do want to speak.
No changes.
Thanks. Jody, any communications or presentations today?
Nope, all of the communications and presentations will be a part of our action items today.
Brenda's unable to join us today, but she did provide the March 26 financials in our packet. So, Commission, if you had a chance to look through that and the dashboard for that month, please comment today or at our next meeting when she can present our next meeting. Jody, Director's Report.
Thank you, Joe. The director's report will be brief today, so I won't be sharing anything on my screen. Most of the items on the director's report are related to our action items, and those will be presented. The parts that are not on our action items, we have a staffing update. We have a new administrative assistant 3. She started last Monday. Her name is Gina, and she is here learning how to run the board meeting today. We are grateful to have her, and that makes us fully staffed in our administrative team. And then we have completed a recruitment for our vacant enforcement officer position, and that person will be starting on June 15th. Emily typed up an update on our AIMS software, and we are working through the conversion of our T2 database into our AIMS database. So this is our new software for our permanent enforcement management. In the coming weeks, we will be developing and implementing a plan to communicate how people can use the new system, and we will have an overlap of time with our T2 system and the AIMS system to make sure that everything is working properly before we shut down everything with T2. And then I just wanted to point out something that's coming up at a future meeting. We will be giving a full report of our first 6 months of hip strip management and enforcement at our July 14th board meeting. This report will include the number and types of tickets that we've issued over there, the work we have done with Public Works and Mobility on striping and signing, a report of our public engagement with Hellgate High School, and comments and questions we have received from residents and business owners. That is it for the director's report.
Any questions for Jody? Okay, we'll jump into our action items. The first one is a tabled motion that we had from last month, our last meeting, the fiscal year 27 residential parking permit program rate review. Jody, would you introduce the action item?
Yes, I will. Give me just one moment. Okay. All right, so this rate review, as Joe said, was started on April 23rd. It was tabled during that meeting in order to give staff additional time to provide information to the board. The information that was required by the board was our cost recovery calculation and a review of the revenue sources and how they can be counted towards our cost recovery. The additional information has been provided in the director's report, but I am including a little bit of it here as well. So staff followed up first with our city attorney's office for clarification on the revenues that can be included in cost recovery. By ordinance, the amount of the fees shall be established at a level that covers the cost of administration and enforcement of the residential parking permit program. I'm starting with this because at our last meeting, when board member Melissa Matassa-Stone asked about using our enforcement revenues, I was not clear that we cannot use those in our calculation for cost recovery. And we cannot. The cost of administration and enforcement must be covered by the fee that is paid by permit holders. We received some public comments about enforcement revenue, so I wanted to make sure that we addressed this. Including enforcement revenue and cost recovery would require an ordinance revision, some public hearings, and city council approval, which is not off the table, but it is not something that we can include right now in our cost recovery. So this is a current chart of our cost recovery. What went out to permit holders included about 10 months of costs and permit sales. This includes 11 months. Which is July 1st, the beginning of our fiscal year, through May 31st. For those of you who were here last meeting, you may also remember that we were showing a 66% cost recovery at that time. And that is because the calculation was based on 9 months of enforcement. So at this time, we have the additional 2 months, and this includes some additional permits that have been sold to date, and also the additional enforcement cost. Since adoption of our parking plan and implementation of the $20 annual increase each year for 5 years, our cost recovery is improving each fiscal year. As a reminder, we started with a cost recovery at around 27%, and that was in fiscal year 24. The residential parking permit program is heavily subsidized by other parking revenues. Right now, the enforcement revenue is used to offset some of the cost that is not being covered by the permit fee, and the rest comes from our downtown parking revenues. The problem we are trying to solve with this recommended rate increase is cost recovery. Rate increases are not the only way to reach cost recovery, and staff is working to bring down costs in addition to recommending these increases. For example, replacing our permit and enforcement management software with AIMS in fiscal year 27 will result in a 17% decrease in the permit management and enforcement system costs. We are also working to eliminate the need to display a physical permit in vehicles for our visitor parking, and this will eliminate the physical permit cost. This year, staff is again recommending a $20 increase. This will bring our cost for the annual permit from $65 for a year to $85 for the year. So I put the recommended motion up on the screen, and if the board approves the increase today, it will go into effect for residential parking permits that will be sold for fiscal year 27, which starts on July 1st.
Questions and comments for Jody and potential motion?
Sorry. Okay, one or more of the public comments, I think was asking about, I mean, I get that the enforcement revenue can't be included, but could you maybe just talk a little bit more about that enforcement revenue and where it does go or how it's used?
Sure thing. So I did actually pull those numbers anticipating that question. In the RPP ticket area this year, we have issued 2,508 residential parking permit tickets. 317 of those have been voided. We void tickets in that area when someone purchases a permit, or if they have a visitor permit that they forgot to display. And then sometimes we void them if a contractor has not reported that they'll be working in the area. So we void for a couple of different reasons over there. There are currently 759 tickets that are unpaid and 1,432 that were paid. So our enforcement revenue for our PP tickets right now for fiscal year 27 is $32,920. So like I said in my in the last slide, those revenues are offsetting some of the additional cost that is not being covered by those permit fees right now.
Thank you.
Kelsey.
Maybe. One of the public comments was regarding working with the university. Is that something that the Parking Commission is looking at this time? I think that's a lot of what people bring up is there any plan to try to work with the university to offset some of those costs?
So at this time, and when this permit program was originally established, it was established with the recognition that the university creates a lot of additional traffic in the area. And the university does not have jurisdiction to enforce parking outside of their boundaries. So we do work with the university to communicate to their students, for example, about not parking in the permit required areas. But the university does not, they can't manage the parking or the overflow, which is why this program was originally established. And while they provide parking on campus for people, they also try and they're working more towards helping people get to campus without a car. And that's I don't want to speak for them 100%, but in meetings with the director of parking over there, that's where their focus is helping people to park and ride and come into campus and reduce parking demand that way.
Thank you for clarifying.
Any other questions or comments or potential motion? After a motion is made, there'll be public comment. Thanks. Sure, go ahead.
I move to approve the rate increase.
Do you,
Oh, yes.
it's in the,
Sorry, guys, it's my first day.
that's all right. It's in the board packet. There's
Thank you. Can you tell me the page number? Oh, perfect. I just have to turn. Okay. To approve a rate increase for the annual residential parking permit, visitor parking permit, and commuter parking permit from $65 to $85.
motion is in order. Is there a second?
Second.
This is Melissa. You beat me to.
Thank you, Melissa. Motion has been seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, any public comment? Have a little blurb to read, just a second. Public comment on agenda items is limited to 3 minutes. When approaching the podium, please state your first and last name for the record, and please note that public comment is not intended to be a back and forth discussion. It is the board's discretion to address your comment prior to voting on the item if it is. So anyone is welcome to come to the podium, sir.
My name's Rick Ryan, and first of all, I want to thank you folks for your service. This is, I'm sure, not a win-win situation for everybody involved. And Jody, I appreciate the improvement in the office over the years. It's really become much more user-friendly, and I appreciate that professionalism. I first came to Missoula in 1971 and lived on Eddy Street when I started university. I graduated from Great Falls High. It's always been very special to me. I was fortunate enough to buy a house on Eddy Avenue in 1989 and have owned that house ever since. My wife and I, in approaching retirement age, did a lot of thinking and research on should we downsize, should we try and move somewhere else, and it pretty much became a lateral move with all of the increase in real estate prices in Missoula. And we came to the conclusion that if we sold the house, we'd have to leave Missoula because it would just be heartbreaking to know we once lived in that great neighborhood. When we approached retirement, we weren't planning on taking on additional loans and financial obligations to help our son find stable housing as a renter. So that was not really the plan, but we do hope to make this our final home. We've had it for 37 years. And over the years, we bought the house before the parking district. I worked for years at the university. I spent some time in your father's office, I believe, back then. But over the years, I think we've spent over $150,000 in property taxes. I know that didn't go to this particular operation. But I'm just wondering if, everything is going up in cost, everything, and just on and on and on. I'm wondering if there's like our license plates, both of our cars are Pioneer plates. We're kind of Pioneer residents of the neighborhood and would love to be able to stay there. And that home is probably more involved in our kids' retirement. And probably that will be an asset they'll have to sell to be able to afford their own retirements. Thank you for consideration.
Thank you, sir. Additional public comment? Anybody online? Apologize, everybody.
We do not have anyone with their hand raised online.
Thanks. I'll close the public hearing and open it back up for commission comment. I'll start. I appreciate your comments, sir, and thanks for the recognition of working with my dad at the university. I'm very sensitive to your comments and other comments like it. The residential parking permit program has, I think, been largely successful because it's served the purpose of redirecting parking away from the district as much as possible and preserving the access and assets that are within that district for the residents of the district and not meant to be parking for the students and staff and faculty of the university. And I think, again, largely that goal has been met. However, in my opinion, for the long lifetime of this permit program, it has not covered its own costs. It has been a nominal amount for the residents there. And our goal when we approved the parking pass several years ago, or parking plan several years ago, was to bring the residential parking permit program back in line with some of our other programs, which is to pay its own way. And I think it was a valuable comment and question last month. Does the citation and the tickets that we generate in that area go towards expenses to manage that district? And right now, they just go into the big pile of other revenues for the commission. Our ordinance, our management ordinance does not allow for that separation of revenue from the district to pay the expenses of the district. And as Jody said, there may come a day where that ordinance changes, and that would involve a city council decision to dedicate enforcement revenue from the district to the expenses of that district. But right now, it is expenses from permit revenue only that pays the revenue. And in my opinion, it was an option that we discussed several years ago to jump the permit program's cost quickly to cover the expenses of managing that program. And we as a commission made a decision to incrementally increase it until we reached 100%. And that day may come soon. It may not. As you heard, we constantly look at how we enforce that district and look for revenue or ways to lower our costs to manage it. So in summary, I believe it's a continued asset for residents of the district. It's an important priority for us in our work with the university to manage the right-of-way for the benefit of those residents and discourage parking by the university community in the neighborhood. And it is also a priority of this commission to bring the expenses to manage that district in line with the revenue that we receive from permits. And that's further of our effort today. So I'll be voting in favor of the ordinance, but I wanted to be clear with you, sir, and others that this decision comes about with a lot of thought and consideration about the costs to homeowners like yourself, but also with the goal of paying its own way. Other comments? Okay, Emily, I'll call for a roll call vote.
Beginning with J.R. Casillas,
Approve.
Kelsey McIntosh Krug,
Approve.
Joe Easton,
Approve.
Melissa Matassa Stone.
Approve.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Thank you again for your comments and thanks for participation. Our next item, Jody, the Missoula Downtown Foundation funding request.
Yes, so the Missoula Downtown Foundation funding request, this is a new request from the Missoula Downtown Foundation for $15,000 in support of the Business Support and Resiliency Grant Program. The request letter that we received was attached to the agenda, and Carrie Harper is here to present the request to the board.
Good afternoon. My name is Rob Fleming. I'm here with Carrie Harper. I am a Missoula Downtown Foundation board member, and just wanted to thank you for your time today to hear a little bit more about our program. We're very supportive of the SAM project that's going to be, I think, starting later this year and moving into next year. It's going to be a very transformative project for downtown Missoula. However, it's also going to be pretty obstructive at times, and it's going to probably be a little chaotic. And our mission is to do what we can to support downtown businesses. And we do feel like a lot of the smaller businesses in downtown are going to feel the impact of the SAM project. It's going to affect traffic. It's going to affect some pedestrian walkways. It's going to affect visibility. I'm also a downtown building owner. I own a building on the Hip Strip. We have several small businesses that are in our building and have already expressed concern about this project. So I kind of hear it on the ground as well. So we put together a program that we think it's a good qualified grant program. Carrie's going to get into the details. We think it's going to show support. It's going to be impactful and help our small businesses and hopefully keep our vacancies low and keep these businesses thriving. So I'll let Carrie get into the details.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. Okay, great. Okay, great. As stated in your mission, the Missoula Parking Commission plays an essential role in making downtown Missoula a great experience by working with government, businesses, and citizens to respond to the evolving needs of our downtown. Your mission to support accessibility, manage parking and alternatives, and help ensure a vibrant downtown environment is deeply connected to the long-term health and success of downtown businesses here. I'm here today to share information about an upcoming initiative that the Missoula Downtown Foundation is launching called the Downtown Business Support and Resiliency Grant Program. To discuss this program directly and how it aligns with your mission and to ask for your investment in this program. Imagine downtown under construction because it's at our doorstep. Construction and infrastructure improvements, while necessary investments to downtown's future, often create temporary disruptions to parking access, circulation patterns, customer navigation, and business visibility. These disruptions can unintentionally reduce customer traffic, increase confusion around parking availability, and place strain on downtown businesses that rely on convenient access to remain viable. We've counted, and I think there were going to be 4 or 5 major construction projects coming to downtown Missoula in 27 through 29, including downtown SAM. Without proactive intervention, these challenges can negatively impact the very downtown experience that the Missoula Parking Commission works so hard to support. So you can see in this, I did a lot of research in there. You know, there have been construction projects in other towns, obviously, and Some towns have done it well and some haven't. And businesses have suffered in some other towns during major construction projects. These are just 3 examples of that. You can go to the next slide. The Downtown Business Support and Resiliency Grant Program offers a practical, proactive strategy to address these evolving access challenges by equipping businesses with tools to adapt during periods of disruption. This is a microgrant program for downtown businesses that will occur in 2027 and 2028. So it'll be 2 cycles of the grant program. As downtown Missoula prepares for several major construction projects in 2020, starting this fall actually, and through 2029, including the Downtown Safety Access and Mobility Project, the Orange Street Underpass construction project, the Broadway and Toole project, and perhaps even the Riverfront Triangle. The Downtown Business Support and Resiliency Grant Program directly aligns with your mission to work with government, businesses, and citizens to respond to the changing parking conditions and maintain a positive downtown experience. The grant is specifically designed with 4 goals, as you can see on the slide, to strengthen resilience across the downtown district, to support customer traffic downtown and drive traffic businesses during periods of disruption, to preserve the vibrancy of downtown, and to sustain tenant and prevent closures. We have 2 types of grants that we're offering. The access adaptation grants. Businesses can implement temporary delivery systems, improve customer communications, adjust service models, and respond to shifting circulation and parking realities. And then on the right, or pardon me, on the left, you'll see the activation and visibility grants will help businesses maintain customer traffic through enhanced signage, wayfinding, promotions, and programming that keeps downtown Missoula active and inviting during construction. You can see these micro grants range anywhere between $1,500 and $4,000. Eligibility for the Downtown Business Support and Resiliency Grant Program will be limited to businesses and organizations operating within the designated program area and meeting established program requirements, as you can see on the slide. Applications will be evaluated based on demonstrated need, project readiness, potential impact on business resiliency and economic vitality, and alignment with our program goals. Strong applications will be projects that strengthen long-term sustainability, improve operations, support recovery or adaptation, and contribute positively to the overall health and vibrancy of our downtown business community. Next slide, please. Grant recipients will be required to complete and submit an impact report documenting how awarded funds were utilized and the outcomes achieved through the project. Reports will help demonstrate program impact, including business resiliency, operational improvements, or other measurable benefits. Individual business financial information will, of course, remain confidential in these reports. Next slide, please. The Downtown Missoula Partnership, it's 3 organizations, the Downtown Business Improvement District, the Foundation, and the MDA, the Missoula Downtown Association. We have internally committed $150,000 approved to this grant program, and currently we're out fundraising for and matching $150,000 for this program. I'm here today to ask for your support. The Missoula Parking Commission's financial support for this program represents an investment in maintaining confidence in downtown Missoula as an accessible destination. By helping businesses remain open, visible, and adaptable, the Parking Commission can reduce the economic impacts of parking and circulation disruptions while reinforcing public trust in downtown systems during times of construction. Supporting this effort also advances the Missoula Parking Commission's broader goal, I believe, of identifying and responding to changing parking needs through collaborative, solution-oriented partnerships. Ultimately, this program protects the vitality of downtown ecosystems that parking infrastructure is designed to serve. Healthy, resilient businesses drive downtown visitation, support parking demand, and contribute to a positive user experience for residents, employees, and visitors. Your financial investment would demonstrate leadership in protecting downtown access, economic vitality, and a long-term success of infrastructure investments already being made in Missoula. So to support this important effort, we respectfully request a commitment of $15,000, thereby having your investment in the stability and resilience of downtown businesses most impacted by the construction and infrastructure improvements that are coming our way. As downtown businesses navigate major disruptions caused by these necessary investments, supporting their resilience is critical to maintaining the vibrant, accessible, and welcoming downtown experience that we work every day to create and support. Thank you. That's it. Do you have any questions?
I'm sure that we do.
I'm
Thanks for
sure.
your presentation. Any questions? Do you have an identified dollar amount for each of the funds? Are you separating out the two different goals into separate funds, and do you have a goal for how much you might want to spend from each fund for each program?
We do not. We are deciding that based on, I think, the applications that come in.
Okay. And you committed 150,000 from your entities and raising another 150. And so then whatever you raise outside, that'll be the total if you don't write it all.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said starting in 27 and 28, so 18, a full 2 years. I don't know when the last construction is supposed to end, but so is this a request for the program, or is this a request for 2027 and 2028?
The request for the entire grant program.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Melissa. Thanks.
I think your second question there got to the one that was mostly on my mind, Joe, whether this was the first of two asks or a single one. Thanks, Carrie and Rob, for sharing the information about what seems like a proactive approach to mitigating some of the construction impacts. I think the only other question I would have is, we have a recommended motion here of providing the whole $15,000 in fiscal year 27. Is there openness to splitting it between the two fiscal years if that's something the commission and the board would prefer?
Go ahead, Carrie.
Absolutely, that is possible. We would be happy to receive it in two smaller sums between your fiscal years or in a single pledge.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Melissa.
Kelsey, JR, anything?
Just for Jody, I know it was in the packet, but maybe just for the benefit of the public, anyone who hasn't seen the packet, could you just comment on how this would fit into budget?
Yes, the Missoula Parking Commission budget includes a little over $60,000 a year in expenses that are intended to be used for grants and contributions that support organizations and programs that fit within our mission. And this $15,000 could be a part of that $60,000 grants and contributions. The only other program so far that we are supporting with that funding was the Missoula in Motion funding request from last meeting. And so we do have the budget for this $15,000.
I have a couple more questions, Carrie and Rob. Unlike our next request where we know that we contribute to a budget that has just been established and we know their expenses over the fiscal year or the 2-year period, This is a new program, a new project, and it's a responsive grant program. So my concern is we approve the 15,000 today. Is it possible to respond to grant requests as they come in instead of conveying $15,000 and having it sit or at the end of the program perhaps unclaimed? I doubt that would be the case, but we respond to convey our commitment when you got a request and approved a request. Yes, Rob?
I'm pretty sure if the money's not spent, it's going to be returned, if that's what you're asking, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, certainly,
Yeah.
but I'm also thinking about the timing of our conveyance of the money to you.
Oh,
and then
got it.
Linda,
Linda?
you can tell me how the mechanics might work, Linda.
Let's bring the expert in.
Yeah.
Nice job, you guys. Well done. I'm Linda McCarthy with the Downtown Missoula Partnership. So we do have cash flow to manage income and expenses appropriately. We see this as part of the implementation of the downtown master plan. And we have been good stewards of the funding that has come our way from you and others. We anticipate that there will be a high amount of applications, particularly in the second year. So we're doing a 2-year program. And we talked about this program being in perpetuity and what it might look like to continue on with business support and resiliency grants, but the Foundation Board is not interested in doing that beyond the Downtown SAM project at this point in time. That might change. It is a new program, although it is similar to the program that we propped up in 2020 to help businesses pay their rent. Completely different from that, but certainly more proactive and responsive to the current need. Question?
Yes, thank you. And one more on perhaps a mechanical question. Is it possible to segregate our funds to be committed to the program that is designed to support parking or transportation changes rather than how I read the other program was visibility and marketing? But
Yeah.
earmarking our support for transportation and parking requests.
You could do that if you want. We feel like both really correlate with bringing people downtown and driving parking revenues. But if you feel strongly that, one side of the grant program is more applicable to you, we can certainly hold those funds in that category.
Thanks. Any other questions, comments, or potential motions?
I had one question come up. How will the recipients of the grants be determined? You mentioned an application process, but who is reviewing those applications? And do you anticipate turning down many businesses from these grants?
Have a committee, which we haven't established who that will be yet. And as far as if we have to turn down people, I hope not. Obviously, we will only spend and grant out the amount of money that we have raised. And so, does that answer your two questions? Yeah.
There will be requirements, and the business applicant will need to meet those requirements. It will be scored. It will be competitive. There probably will be people who don't qualify, but we have a selection committee, and they will take those recommendations to the Foundation Board, which will review and approve.
Thank you. Potential motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the MDF Business Support and Resiliency Grant Program funding request for fiscal year 2027 in the amount of $15,000.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Kelsey. Any further comment by the commission? Any further public comment on the motion that's on the floor? Okay, I'll call a roll call vote.
Kelsey McIntosh Krug,
Approve.
Joe Easton,
Approve.
J.R. Casillas,
Approve.
Melissa Matassa Stone.
Approve.
Motion carries. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your patience waiting for this. Jody, would you introduce the Mr. TMA grant request?
Yes. This request is made odd years by the Missoula Valley Transportation Management Association, which we call Mr. TMA for short. They request $6,000, again on odd years, so every other year, to support their van pool program. The request letter was attached to our agenda, and Lynn Hellegard is here to present the request to the board.
Good afternoon. I'm Lynn Hellegard. I'm the Executive Director of Mr. TMA. I want to thank you for your consideration today and wanted to let you know one more year we will have been partners for 30 years.
Is that right?
Yes. And when we first started in 2002, we had 6 routes. We're up to 18 now, and that's about what it's been. COVID's been a fun experience on all of us. We have 8 routes that come in from the Bitterroot or go down to businesses in Hamilton. We've got 7 Mission Valley routes that take people up to Designs for Health up in Arlee. And then we've got 3 vans that work down around Three Forks, and they're all voc rehab people working at Wheat, Montana. The majority of our riders are lower paid workers. We do have what we call employer sponsored routes, which helps us come up with our match. It's GlaxoSmithKline in Hamilton and Designs for Health up in Arlee. Overall, we serve about 14 work sites. Back in the day, we used to serve about 85. And it's just kind of whittled down to where it's just a few concentrated ones. COVID, the impact that had on us, we had a lot of our people retire because they were close to retirement, so they just decided to do that. One of them was a UM employee that was our first van pool driver, and she drove for us for 22 years. And we also have a lot of people that telework. So they used to ride 5 days a week. Now they're down to 2 or 3. We have a lot of them that have gone to 410s. So that cuts an extra day off as well. The program brings in about $375,000 of federal money to the program. And that's to start operating. It doesn't include our capital. I've given you a pass out there, so I won't go through all of our statistical numbers for you. We still partner with the Valley Veterans Service Center down in Hamilton that brings veterans from Ravalli County up to our clinic, or they will take them over to Fort Harrison if DAV or the VTS program can't do that. We still help Seeley Lake. They gave about 2,600 rides since we started that program back in 2017. We also manage what we call an ETA voucher, Emergency Transportation Assistance Voucher Program. And the hospitals contribute to that match money, but what it's for people that are dropped at the hospital and they have no way home after discharge. So we've been doing that for a long time. Community Medical Center also partners with our other partners in Ravalli, Sanders, Lake, to get patients home to those counties as well with this voucher program. And they do scrutinize them. They have to have absolutely no other resource to get them home before they can use that program. I also participate or continue to participate on the Transit Cooperative Research Programs and the National Highway Cooperative Research Programs. And we just helped Mineral County build a new transit facility that finished last September. So a couple things that I wanted to get your input on, or if you want to partner on this. After the last presentation, my thought was I have a couple of 12-passenger vans sitting on my parking lot maybe we could get with Mountain Line, see if we could get them to be drivers. And then work with so that we make sure that there aren't permit fees for parking in that park and ride by our offices. We're down by Lewis and Clark Housing, to where maybe downtown employees could park there. And we would have a quick route that just ran between that park and ride and downtown using that 12-passenger van. That might help relieve some of that. Or if, we find we want it running all day long, maybe 10, 15-minute routes. I think that people might find that attractive. The other thing that I've been thinking about is looking at all those apartments that are going up on Mullen Road. Working again with Mountain Line to do what I call urban van pools. So they would go from those housing or the apartment complexes to downtown, maybe Community Medical Center or another large employer group. To see if we can relieve some of the other parking that you might have downtown. And how you can help us do that is maybe help us get a survey out to your downtown employers so we can figure out where their employees live, so that we can figure out where we can do these routes and make it effective for them. So those are my thoughts for today.
Very good. Thank you again.
Oh, wait, I
Yeah.
forgot. Kenley, he's so quiet over here. He is my new employee, will be taking my place when I retire. But he's been working on a new app that we thought you might be interested for our riders.
Great.
I'm Kenley Crisp. I started in December, and Lynn has been a great teacher of the whole transit world. One thing that I've noticed with I Ride Vanpool is Lynn has a great system, but it's a little out of date with paper and pencil and mailing. So I've
Accurate, though.
it does work very well. So now that I understand the system a little bit more, I've been trying to make it a little more user-friendly for the drivers and riders, just so they can log their data. And then we can get that data and apply for more funding. So I've just been developing a web app using Airtable, where it's just a easy process for the drivers and riders to send us their information, mileage on the vehicles, and questions or maintenance requests that they have.
Great. Questions or comments from the commission and potential motion? Return, JR.
I'd make a motion to approve the Mr. TMA funding request for fiscal year 2027 in the amount of $6,000.
Motion is in order. Is there a second?
Seconded.
And seconded. Any further public comment on the motion on the floor? This has been a tremendous project and something that we have funded for years and years, and so I'm proud that we're approaching 30 years. So congratulations on the program and your imminent retirement. So I'm proud to support it and continue the good work. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Kelsey.
Oh, I just want to say it's a program I didn't know a lot about until I was reading through the agenda and your handout. And I think what you guys are doing is really wonderful. And I'm, again, happy to continue to support it. It's really exciting to see the new ideas that you all have for continuing the growth of the program going forward.
Thanks. Can we have a roll call vote?
Joe Easton,
Yes.
J.R. Casillas,
Approve.
Kelsey McIntosh Krug,
Approve.
Melissa Matassa Stone.
Approve.
Great. Thanks again.
Thank you, guys. And Jody, if you want to look into those things, give me a call.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And finally, our last action item is approving our budget. In April, you received a copy of this, and there's a lot in there. There's some information and changes. But Jody, would you give us the highlights and we can move on to a motion?
Yes, I will. And I've added a couple of slides. There will be some repeats, but I won't repeat all of the same information. So I wanted to start the budget presentation with a description of our organization because we do have a couple of new members, and I think it's good for the public to hear this information at least once a year. So the Missoula Parking Commission is an enterprise fund, which means we generate all revenues to cover all of our expenses, and we do not receive any money from the general fund. Our mission at the Missoula Parking Commission is to work with government, businesses, and citizens to provide and manage parking and parking alternatives, and MPC identifies and responds to the ever-changing parking needs in the area for which it is responsible. The Missoula Parking Commission org chart is here on the screen, and we work toward our mission with a staff of just 13. My staff includes 4 parking enforcement officers, 3 maintenance workers, 1 maintenance coordinator, 3 administrative specialists, and 1 business manager. Our staff works with you all as the board of directors. As a commission, the board has the authority to set our strategic priorities, to approve contracts, to approve financing for debt service, and to advise on management recommendations brought forward from staff. The board also approves our annual budget before we take it to city council, where it becomes a part of the mayor's budget. This is a repeat slide from April where we discussed our expected revenue changes for fiscal year 27. Since we met in April, we have not changed any of these numbers, and we expect to see an increase in revenue over fiscal year 26 of $207,300. This is a pie chart that shows how those revenues are broken out. We will continue to see meter and lease revenues as the highest revenue generators, and we project that this will continue into fiscal year 27. Together, those revenues total 82% of our overall parking revenue. Parking tickets continue to make up less than 10% of our revenue, and short-term parking, which includes our hourly parking in the garages, garage validations, and value passes, will make up around 7%. We have special parking, which includes our boot removals and the RPP permits that total 3% of our projected revenues, and permit income and miscellaneous income will each bring in around 1% of the total projected revenue for fiscal year 27, which is $3,432,900. Here's a pie chart for our fiscal year 27 budget expenses. Personnel will continue to be our highest expense in fiscal year 27 at around 35%. Next, we have our purchased services at 32%. This includes everything. So our postage, printing, publicity, subscriptions, utilities, training, travel, and all outside labor, including consultants, accounting, auditing, security, and then the new deferred maintenance account that was included in April's presentation. 7% of our expenses will be fixed charges, which is our prepaid meter fees, lot rents, merchant fees, and property taxes. The next 10% is our bond payment. Then we have debt service, which includes our bank and bond interest accounts for 7% of our expenses, and other purchase services, which is our city contract, will account for 6%. 3% of our fiscal year 27 expenses are set to go to grants and contributions. This number includes the Missoula in Motion funding that we talked about earlier, the BID officer funding, as well as Mr. TMA and the MDF requests that were made today. And then the final 2% of our fiscal year 27 expenses will go to supplies. These are our office supplies, repair and maintenance supplies, fuel and operating supplies like clothing and signs. Our total projected expenses for fiscal year 27 are at $3,317,990. This is another repeat slide from April outlining how those expenses differ from our fiscal year 26 expenses. In total, our expenses for fiscal year 27 will decrease by $176,631. As a reminder, we received maintenance plans from our consultants that we use to adjust how we will be addressing maintenance going forward. Using the maintenance plans, we were able to reduce the maintenance supplies, operating supplies, and repair and maintenance external expenses for a total decrease of $152,456. This accounts for the majority of the decrease we will see in our expenses. In addition to those maintenance plans, we received conditions assessments to provide existing conditions and recommendations to prolong the lives of our lots and structures through addressing deferred maintenance. The recommendations fall into priorities of high, medium, and low. All high priority costs for all facilities, lots, and structures total just under $5 million. In working with our consultants, financial advisors, and our finance department, we have determined that the two limiting factors for addressing these high priority repairs are time and money. For time, we do not have the capacity to manage $5 million worth of work across all of our lots and structures in one calendar year or one fiscal year. And financing these repairs through debt service is not our best approach. So what we have decided is that for fiscal year 27, we will start a deferred maintenance account with $500,000. We will issue an RFP once the budget is approved to find a contractor that can start addressing the high priority items based on our conditions assessments that were provided by our maintenance consultants. This expense account will be covered by the parking revenues, as you saw in the pie charts before. The other CIP request that you see here is for fixed LPR in our gated facilities. This is actually a request that was approved in fiscal year 26, and we are currently under contract with Ames for this project. We recognize that the expense will actually show up in fiscal year 27, so for accounting purposes, we have to move this request into fiscal year 27. The $123,455 will be covered by our fund balance. We're almost done. Finally, we have our enforcement vehicle replacements. This slide is another repeat from our April meeting, so I won't go into too much detail. But since that meeting, we have continued to work with Scott in our fleet services, and they have recommended the Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid. The nice thing about the plug-in hybrid, we've talked to other parking organizations who use this hybrid model of vehicle, and with the plug-in, the vehicle can get 20 to 40 miles of travel with just the electric before switching over into the combustion engine. So we anticipate that our fuel expenses will not increase significantly moving from the electric scooters to these hybrid vehicles. This replacement will be paid for with our fund balance, these replacements. And then finally, I have our recommended motion slide. With approval today, the next step will be a presentation to City Council on June 24th. It then moves through the city's regular budget process with the rest of the mayor's budget.
Thanks. Questions for Jody?
More of a comment than a question. Thanks,
Yep.
Jody, for the refresher from last time and just a really clear, well laid out budget. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Melissa. Questions? Potential motion, please.
I move to approve the fiscal year 2027 budget as presented.
Thank you. So moved
Seconded.
and seconded. Any other further comment? Any members of the public would like to address the commission about the budget? Nope. Any other comments from the commission? Thank you, Jody and staff, for preparing this. We continue to be in a good financial position. Last year was a little more difficult to determine where we were going to be with our construction project. So I'm glad that we've recovered and continued our fund balance improvement and our liquidity. So, and thank you to City Council and the Missoula Downtown and the public for supporting the Parking and Parking Commission. Roll call vote, Emily.
Beginning with J.R. Casillas,
Approve.
Kelsey McIntosh Krug,
Approve.
Joe Easton,
Approve.
Melissa Matassa Stone.
Approve.
Thank you. The budget is passed. Do we have any new business? Any old business to address? Okay, July 14th at noon. Hopefully we can trick Peter into getting here on the 14th. What action items do you expect, Jody, for the 14th?
There are no action items at this time. However, we will be having perhaps an open discussion about our hip strip expansion. This is our opportunity to address some of the public comments that have come up, and the staff may have some recommendations for management changes over there.
Okay. Nothing further. I'll adjourn the meeting. It is 1:10.